Hey guys, and welcome to FanCast. We're very grateful to be recording from the historic St Kilda Sports Club, the oldest locker room in the Southern Hemisphere. Join us on the bench where we talk all things footy. We're fans, and this is FanCast. G'day FanCasters, and welcome to another episode here on the pod where we have a proper footy chat. Today we are joined by a very special guest here. In the middle, obviously, we've got Steve-O on the other side. How you doing, Steve-O?
I'm doing great, Joe. Thank you so much for introducing me. Not as a special guest, but all good. But we do very much have a special guest right in the middle in Matt Hardy. So
that's me. Are we all in the same frame the entire time?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I know.
Occasionally we change.
All right. Okay.
Occasionally some people just zoom in on one face.
I'll take your word for it.
You might end up getting a nice little close-up right here.
Love it. Can't wait. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
We did not script that. Wow, that was so good.
Did we say that at the same time?
We said that exact same time. Did we just become best friends?
No, I forgot the lyric after that.
Right. Jinx.
Yeah, or you could do that. I was quoting the Step Brothers, but it's fine. It's okay.
I've never watched it.
Haven't you?
No.
Oh, you're missing out.
Yeah.
What?
I know.
Maybe you could put your ball bag on his drum kit and bring him up to speed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we got Matthew Hardy, you guys. Absolute, unbelievable legend. We're so happy to have you on here. Diehard Sainer. You've obviously documented your love for the Saints. You've got a full book dedicated to how you've grown up your life supporting him.
Yeah. I was living in London for a decade, trying to become a stand-up comedian. I'd never left my parents' house at the time. I'd never had a girlfriend. I'd never had a job. I was like 20, so I should have had all of those things. And but nowadays everyone's living with their parents for as long as they can. But back then it was very uncool to do so. So I was a 3-time loser. No job, no girlfriend. No job, no girlfriend. Don't think I had a car. No place to live outside of mum and dad's. If they'd had a basement, I would have been trolling people before that even existed. Anyway, then I decided I wanted to try and become a comedian, and that England was where that industry was at its biggest. And so I went there, took about a year to come good. And then I had various mates coming over from Australia doing the European thing.
Yep.
And they would stop, with me for a week or whatever under my roof, and we'd catch up. And I didn't realise that I was only talking about super Aussie stuff that I couldn't talk about to fellow English people. And I'm 54 now. But so I'd talk about like Tarak's creamy soda, particular brand of a particular soft drink.
Yeah.
I'd talk about Hubba Bubba bubble gum. I'd talk about Shirl's Neighbourhood, which is a popular kids TV show, Simon Townsend's Wonderworld, with all these mates of my own age. And I'd be talking about obscure flavours of Big M from our childhoods.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I was doing that and saving it all up to reminisce with people who knew what I was talking about. And in England, of course, back especially in the 90s, people didn't even know that AFL existed.
Yep.
So therefore, upon arrival, I didn't realise 80% of my conversation was eradicated, because no one knows who anyone from Plugger Lockett to
Trevor Barker,
Roy Kazali to Trevor Barker, my hero. No one knows who any of them are or were. And so, I would make up for that when my Aussie mates would come over, and then, we'd get drunk and then the next morning they'd go, mate, you were hilarious last night. But all of those cultural references I haven't thought of for 30 years and probably never would have again. And it was your entire conversation. Fuck, you want to clear your mental shelves of all that stuff, make room for some new stuff. And I thought, but I like holding on to the old stuff. And then so I thought, what do I do during the day? Because I'd work most nights of the week doing comedy clubs. And I thought, I can't get drunk or I can't get stoned because I need to perform that night.
That would help.
And I want to do something creative. And so I thought, what if I put all those memories from my childhood, from my adolescence, down on the page and see if there's a book in it. And maybe if ever I have kids or my brothers have kids, they might want to look at that as like a record of our family history or whatever.
Yeah.
And then someone I know looked at it who had a connection to a publisher. They sent that to them. They got back within 24 hours and said, we want this book. We think this would be massive. And so they got the book, and luckily for me, it was massive. And it was basically, but so it was based around me loving this guy called Trevor Barker, which for other people might be Timmy Watson was the Essendon guy in my generation of who they love there. You're a Hawthorn man, so it would have been Peter Knights.
Yep.
Blondish or youngish or dynamic players at every team that nowadays, you still got kids who love Nick Revolt or they love Buddy Franklin or, whoever. But I had this obsession with Trevor Barker, and I was young enough at 9 to think that I could be Trevor Barker. I didn't realize you can't become another person.
No.
You can try and be like another person, but I thought I could just turn into him somehow.
Well, the drugs and alcohol definitely goes a long way to remove all sort of inhibitions, definitely.
Well, yeah. Back then, I was just on the Whiz Fizz, right? That was the white powder for me. Came with a little spoon. I mean, what were they doing? Encouraging us. It was like a gateway.
Yeah, that was unreal.
Well, also, there was fake cigarettes.
That's right.
Yes, I remember them.
And they were called fags. So that was later to become politically incorrect.
Oh, yeah.
Just the name of it for one reason. And for another reason, why were they encouraging kids to smoke fake cigarettes? I wonder who financed that lolly. Because they were obviously
Marlboro.
Yeah, Marlboro. Yeah,
Might have been
Marlboro. Anyhow, so but what I didn't realise with the book is anyone's childhood, anyone's teenage years, anyone's young adult years, they involve a series of firsts. You don't have to be a guy like me brought up in Glen Waverley. You don't have to break for St Kilda. You don't have to idolise Trevor Barker to have had your first kiss, your first bicycle, your first fight, your first part-time job, your first, fumble under a jumper at a party. Your first full-time job, your first car, the first time you got drunk, the first time you did drugs, the first time you got your heart broken, the first time you had sex. All of us have had those things happen, hopefully. And for me, when I started writing them all down, that's what they call a rites of passage, of course. But every one of those major moments that we all enjoy or endure in our lives, for me, was a disaster, which made it be funny. Yeah. No one wants to hear about successful first-time sex or a successful full-time job or everyone's first car should be something that you've got to wind the back window down and climb in and then climb across, and then slap the bloody keyhole on the right-hand side and then undo the glove box before the engine will start. You know what I mean? And no one should be getting what kids nowadays get, which is almost a brand new car because the parents go, I want them to be safe.
Correct.
My parents of my generation didn't give a fuck about you being safe.
Yeah.
That is, you had some old jalopy that had kangaroo hop for the first 100 metres.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that list of firsts was what seemed to capture people's imagination, and it became a massive big sell. That was 1999, literally last century, and I am betting that neither of you blokes were born then. Is that correct or not?
No, I was born.
He was definitely born. I wasn't.
You weren't, right? No.
Why are you so adamant? I was definitely born.
Right? So 25 years later, this fucking book is still selling well. And we've just met.
Yep.
And it's a pleasure. And you've just said to me that you got a mate who came to see my show, which again, 25 years after the book was published, it's the 25th anniversary show of the book, a stage adaptation. And I sold 500 tickets, which is the most I've sold in Australia to any one show in my life. And I'm 54 and I wrote the book 25 years ago. So I'm pretty fucking wrapped with the legacy and the duration with which this book and story of a suburban nobody has managed to last.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll take a breath now, and I'm happy to listen to you two talk about your lives.
No, that was unreal. And the book, by the way, was Saturday Afternoon Fever. That, and never once was the title of the book was ever drawn.
The Saturday Afternoon Fever came about because the biggest movie of the 70s was called Saturday Night Fever.
Yes.
With John Travolta.
Yes.
And in the 70s, every AFL game, well then VFL, because they hadn't brought interstate teams in, would be at 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon. And so you'd get your tram or your train to the game at the ground, in suburban Melbourne that your team was playing that day.
Yep.
And it wasn't until you got back to Flinders Street Station, which was like the main arterial point to come from one ground and then back to wherever each person lived.
Yep.
And you'd see someone with a Hawthorn jumper and go, how many did Jason Dunstall kick today? You'd see someone with a Geelong jumper. Oh, did Geelong win? How many did Ablett kick today?
Correct.
And that's how you would, that was viral,
Because all the games would be on at the same time.
They'd all be on at the same time, yeah. And the scoreboards did give you, the old-fashioned, by hand numbers with some little old bloke sticking his head out of a hole on a massive giant wooden scoreboard would be flipping numbers over according to the goals that were kicked. The scoreboard did update you on the other games, but you had to be in collusion with the footy record, and there was some sort of weird code that you had to follow. So, Hawthorn Geelong this Saturday is represented by the letters D and F, right? So you'd be looking up going, who's D and who's F? So who's kicked 7 and who's kicked 5? And most of us wouldn't bother and just wait till you got to the train station to see someone else in another team's jumper and ask them what fucking happened.
Wow.
And so that was Saturday. So that's why Saturday Afternoon Fever, because all the games were on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, right.
And Melbourne would be, in fever all football focused.
Love it.
Anyway,
Things have changed, but still, we are absolutely here in this state enamored with our footy. We do love our footy. Big diehard nuffs. So much so that we're here on a Tuesday night talking about football.
Yeah.
Where else would you rather be?
what else would you talk about?
Exactly. I mean, here in this great state of ours. And if you guys haven't already picked up on it, you've heard his voice now talking for a bit. Probably would have recognized it. The run home, the drive home on SEN.
Yeah, SEN Sports Entertainment
SEN
Network, which I think
Sport.
now has a show or a network, a frequency in most states of Australia. But it started off in Victoria.
Yep.
And so Dermot Brereton, Anthony Hudson, the commentator, and myself were the first drive time team for SEN the first 3 years. And the night before, so it was a sports-centric radio station that was beginning tomorrow. And the night before tomorrow, unfortunately, David Hooks, the Aussie South Australian cricket legend, died after being beaten up by a bouncer. And so I was hired as the professional fan. That's what my role was. So they knew that I'd done comedy shows. They knew I'd written a comedy book. They knew I was a massive footy fan. And they said, right, so we've got the commentator. He's a professional. We've got the former player. He's a professional. And now we've got like a professional comedian come professional fan. By professional fan, they went, I know what the cost of a pie is.
Yep.
I know what the cost of a beer is, because Dermy and Hutto, they would drive under the grandstand, get an elevator up to the media box, and never have to know what a pie or a beer would cost.
You're like the live
Yeah,
correspondent.
exactly.
Exactly.
The live correspondent.
I was out there in the trenches.
The people's champion.
I was rolling my sleeves up, getting my hands dirty. And so, yeah, between the three of us, we did pretty well. But that first day was tough for me to try and get laughs when a massive sporting legend had died in awful circumstances.
Yeah.
But what I did do is I started talking about David Hooks being on the one-day international cricket team posters that they used to advertise because McDonald's had paid for those posters, and you'd have to say to all beef patties, special sauce, pickled cheese on a sesame seed bun, which they've now brought back that commercial in order to get a free poster. And it was multicoloured. They called it pajama cricket back then. So all the teams had primary coloured outfits. They still do now, but not as bright and not as sparkly as it was then. And so that had David Hooks front and centre of a lot of those TV commercials. And so that was my angle in to try and lighten up the mood.
Oh.
And I also had a David Hooks T-shirt. I've got a photo of myself when I was about 9. I'm wearing a David Hooks World Series cricket T-shirt. I've got Peter Criss, the drummer from Kiss's face paint on because Kiss were playing in our suburb at Waverley Park, which was then called VFL Park, that night. And I had my St Kilda shorts on. So I've got footy shorts, a cricket T-shirt and a Kiss makeup. And Dad was a cop and he snuck us in the boot of his car because he wasn't working the Kiss shift at the footy, but he knew he could get into the ground with his cop car. And so me and about 5 other kids from the neighbourhood were shoved into the boot, almost like, we'd been kidnapped for ransom. And then we drove around behind the police shed toilets and said, get out and piss off and be quick about it.
We've checked there's no retrospective penalisation.
Law. I don't know.
Going back to
my dad's in heaven or wherever he wants to be now, so I think he's managed to escape any penalty, yeah.
I love that story.
But anyway, but so, yeah, that was my 3 passions, rock music, footy and cricket. And
Waverley Park, up around your corner as well, Steve-o.
Yes, very much so, yeah.
Well, yeah, Hawthorn's home ground, training ground. Do you live near there, do you?
Well, not live there, but it's about a 20-minute drive.
Yeah, right.
But
not too bad.
go there once a year, grab my membership scarf every year before the season starts. So got to make a yearly visit to the Hawks Nest.
When are you guys moving away to not Barona, sorry, to Dingley, right?
Yeah, to Dingley. I believe it's at the end of 2025 when it's finalised.
I don't think will it ever happen. That's been put back about 2 years every year for 5 years.
We've been struggling to get every single penny on for that. We needed.
That's why you got elbow. That's why you got elbow in the song.
We need the elbow government to save us there and give us that last kick in the ass with the money. So,
well, the Bulldogs got it. They're constantly getting government cash to redo their grandstand, at which games are never played.
That's right,
because they obviously want the Western Suburbs vote. Good on them.
And we're in round 22 against Carlton. We're having a jumper where you can. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but you can put your name anywhere on the jumper, but it costs money, of course. Like if you want to put your name on the top right of the Guernsey, it might cost $2,000 to do that.
Oh, for a
It'll
game?
cost more than that.
Yeah, like we're
It'll cost
wearing
more
this.
than that.
We're wearing this top with just a bunch of random names against
Yeah.
Carlton in round.
You're going to
27.
have a bidding.
Oh, hang on.
It's going to be a bid, bro.
St Kilda have done that.
Yeah.
Basically, you need a telescope like the Hubble telescope
Yeah.
to see your. It's the smallest font in the history of fonts.
Yeah.
I don't want to break your heart.
No.
But I've had my name on a Saints jumper as well, and honestly, you can't prove it.
Oh
Unless
no, I'm not buying it.
Oh, right.
I'm not,
Well, I bought it.
No, I'm not putting my.
I
name
bought
on
it. I bought into the idea, and I paid money for the
How
concept.
much was it?
Oh yeah, it was a couple of grand. But I didn't realise how small the font. It might as well be written on one of the threads that the jumper's made of.
The funny thing is, the Bombers also, for our 150th anniversary when we played against Carlton at the MCG, they also were advertising that if you paid, I'm joining spent and paid. If you paid up extra, you'd get into the record.
Oh yeah,
which also has a list of all of the members that paid extra to be on the, as well as you made your way onto the banner.
Oh yeah. Again,
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Again,
impossible to read.
The font would be written on like a DNA thread. You need a,
font size 2.
A microscope on looking through a microscope.
But to their immense credit,
Smaller than font size 2.
to their immense credit, I will forever hold this in my heart, Essendon Football Club. They sent it to you. They sent the piece of the banner with my name on it in the mail
Okay, now I'm
to
sold.
my house.
All right, that's top tier.
Now I'm sold.
Yeah, what your own specific part of the banner?
Yes.
That's awesome.
With my name on it was in the envelope. So the Essendon Football Club, that was money well spent.
Yep.
It
Also-
wasn't, it was a bit of money, but it was well spent because
Were you
you
trying
took the
to
effort.
were you trying to sidle up to like people you're attracted to at bars for the next few weeks afterwards and finding a way to bring that into the conversation?
You'll
What do
just
you-
have it
what do you-
sticky taped
Yeah,
on your top.
Guess what's in this envelope?
Yeah,
like-
exactly.
And you win me as a prize.
It's like a name tag. Here's my very small name with a bit of sticky tape and
Yep.
it's a random bit of a banner.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
I'm
where I
walking
got that
around.
from.
I'm walking around with paper tissue. All my
I tell you, talking about banners annoy me now because I used to burst through the banner, didn't they? With
That's
crepe
right.
paper and sticky tape.
Yeah.
They'd burst through it. Now they've got those flaps at the
Oh.
bottom.
Yeah, the curtains.
It's
Yeah, the
pathetic.
curtains at the bottom,
Oh.
which are half like those flaps during a car wash that you drove through,
Yeah.
and or half like those flaps if you're trying to get a housemate and you make the flaps at the bottom of the A4 bit of paper that
Yeah,
you stick up on
exactly.
the local milk bar window that you can rip off and ring
Yeah,
the number on.
Exactly.
It's not satisfactory, that banner.
No.
And they duck under it.
I've always found
Where's
that
the passion?
remarkable.
Yeah.
There is no show of strength whatsoever, but I do think part of it is they love to involve the kids now.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they'll bring the kids through the banner
Yeah.
sometimes, and
Yeah.
you don't want to have some poor disabled child try to fight through the banner,
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to get through. You know what I mean? Like that.
No.
No one
Or
wants
get
to see that.
a very strong piece of sticky tape like on their throat.
Potentially.
That happened to Kevin Bartlett for his 400th. He tripped over an ankle height, strong bit of sticky tape on the MCG on his 400th banner. His 400th banner was one of the best works of art you've ever seen in your life, but he tripped over it. And then I think he tripped and fell forward. And then I think there was another strong bit of sticky tape just under his chin. So he tripped. Then his chin got caught on the high bit. And I think his feet were swinging like it was a disaster. So maybe that was what led them to soften the process. But they, depending on how
It's like he
vigorously,
was webbed up by Spider-Man.
yeah, exactly right. And so depending on how vigorously your team would burst through the old school banners was depending on how serious you thought they were about winning that day.
Yeah.
But nowadays they duck underneath it. You go, I don't know.
I feel like you can even. I reckon someone seeing something impartial spectator would see the people the players burst through. Oh, they're going to win. Let's put some money on these boys.
Tragic.
They're going to come out here and win. And you see the odds drastically change before the game starts. They're in good form. They look too passive. Nowadays you got
some of them run around it. That should be a week's suspension.
that shouldn't be
Legit.
dropped.
Yeah.
Like no, sorry, you're late out.
Not personal reasons, not managed, omitted.
Omitted.
Yeah.
Then there
Ran
on
around
day.
the banner.
Pull out the emergency.
Yep.
Pull out the emergency. You got to get on. You got to get him on. Speaking of emergency, this is a very old emergency. This is Trevor Barker. Because we wanted to bring it back to you a little bit.
I've got a Trevor Barker
because
badge there.
I saw
old
the
school.
badge on there before.
Yep.
And it was tragic, his passing.
Yes.
And he was your hero growing up.
Yep.
You did say as
Yep.
much here. How did the news hit you at that time?
Well, I was in London and it was 1996 and I had an answer machine, if anyone remembers them.
Oh my God.
Right? Little box on next to your landline phone, and you'd get home, and if the light was flashing, you'd press play, maybe a little pen, a little paper.
Yeah.
And you'd write down, whoever called and whatever messages they'd left for you. And so I got home one night having done a comedy show. It was nighttime in England and morning in Australia, and press play. And there was like one mate telling me I should regret what I'd done at a party last night. And another mate asking where the $50 or £50 I owed him was. And then suddenly my mum saying, with the most beautiful emotion or tragic, emotion in her voice, Matthew, we're all okay. But I thought you should know that Trevor Barker died last night. And so that just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And I suddenly felt alone. I was in this London flat. I was on a high because I'd just done some comedy show to 500 people. I'd done really well that night. I had a few beers afterwards. I was, buzzing. And then that killed my buzz. And then later that week, his funeral occurred. I wish I had been here to attend it as a fan. And I met him a few times as a kid, and then he remembered my name as an adult years later.
I love that.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, never got annoyed. The amount of times I hassled him was just endless. And I knew there was thousands of other kids doing the same thing, and he never lost his fuse with any of us, and, took care. And he'd write back if you wrote to him, dear Trevor, hope your exploratory ankle surgery goes well. He'd write a letter back. Oh, I appreciate your kind words, Trevor. I've kept all them. And, he was an amazing man. And he did well with the ladies. And I was from a generation where that was, a good
alpha.
Yeah, alpha male, hetero. I didn't know any different. I didn't know homosexuality or non-binary options. I thought that men like women, and Trevor was good at that.
And all the women
like Trevor, and they were all gorgeous. And then back to when Trevor died, Dad sent me because back nowadays I don't know if anyone does it, but back then, if somebody died, you would show your sympathy by going to the Herald Sun or your local newsagent or doing it on the phone, and at about $20 a word, writing, sympathies, Trevor, from Matthew and family. Thanks for being kind to us and being such a great Saints player, right?
Wow.
And so there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Almost there could have been a separate edition of people that had paid money to put their personal memory and sympathy about Trevor's death in the paper, right? So Dad tore out those heaps of pages, folded them up, sent them to me. There was no accompanying note. But what he'd done is circled a whole bunch of individual messages that people had written, right? And all of those messages I noticed were written by a Christian named woman only. So Trevor, it was nice knowing you. Short time, but a good time. Sally, right? And Jennifer and Amber, right? And I thought to myself, right, in their younger single days, they might have crossed Trevor's path and had some fun times. Now they've gone on and got married to someone else and had kids or just living another life.
Crossed his path and legs, perhaps. Yeah.
Perhaps, right?
Yeah.
And so then Dad wrote in the, I don't know whether this nowadays would be considered misogynist or not, but Dad wrote in the margin of the paper, always make sure you kiss them goodbye when you go, all right? Which is kind of sweet.
Yes.
But kind of oppressive.
Yeah.
So there's no sneaking out the window at 3 a.m. when you wake up and there's a monster beside you, when you thought you'd gone home with a fucking princess.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it works the other way around too. But, as long as you are kind when you part ways, then you'll be remembered well. So somewhere in there that he meant to offer a positive, example of behaviour. But yeah, Trevor must have left a good impression on everybody, whether he shook their hand or
he's
held their
remembered now.
hand.
So I just find it so fitting that he was so good at remembering, even remembering you and just being so kind and nice to everyone that he met and doing all that wonderful fan engagement, that as well as he remembered, he is now also being remembered.
Yes.
And now every year, your best and fairest, it's in his name.
Well, the years ago they would have, because players weren't paid anything like they were now. So years ago when a player retired, they'd have what they call a testimonial night, which would be a gentleman's only function with a bunch of trestle tables at the front and a bunch of footballers telling war stories from footy trips away that could barely be, told today about mischief that they'd all got up to. And Trevor had virtually the number one player from every other team attend who wanted to speak at this, like a living eulogy, right? So there was Mickey Conlon from Fitzroy. There was Peter Dacos from Collingwood. There was the Dominator, Wayne Johnson from Carlton, Paul van der Haar from Essendon. All the legends, right, of all the clubs were mates with Trevor Barker, even though he'd been their opponent.
Right.
And I remember one story, this guy, Neil Roberts, who was a 1959 Brownlow medalist, beautiful blonde-looking bloke, used to win the Portsea Pier to Pub swimming race every year. just an absolute athlete. And he told this story that after he'd retired, they made him be a player welfare guy, and that was the era in which they started trying to get players who didn't have jobs some form of employment to keep them out of the pubs during the week. And so they got Trevor a job driving like Beau Morris or Hyatt or that area's Bayside first ever ride-on mower, right? And so Neil Roberts' job one day was to turn up and say good day to Trevor, make sure he'd actually turned up, make sure he was attempting to do the job, a semblance of interest.
Yeah.
And so he turns up and on one of the nature strips near the shopping strips was this ride-on mower with the engine put purring, but no Trevor to be seen.
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh,
and
no.
so he looks around, can't see him, goes to the nearest shop on the shopping strip and says, g'day, do you people know Trevor Barker? And they went, yeah, we know Trevor Barker, Saint Star. He played for Victoria in his first year. Played full back, and he was like just on 6 foot and weighed about 12 stone or whatever kilos that would be now, right? So he was playing, against blokes twice his size and beating them. Anyway, so he goes to the nearest shop, which is a chemist. And they say, we know Trevor. Why? He goes, because I'm looking for him. He's left the engine on the ride-on mower, and he's nowhere to be seen. And they said, well, he has been having a chat here and there with a young lady that works here, right? Who's probably about his age. She's been gone too long from her lunch break. If you see her, can you tell her we want her to come back? And he said, well, if you see him, can you tell him I'm looking for him?
Yeah.
So he goes back to the ride-on mower and he's scratching.
I think we can see where this is going.
He's scratching his head and he turns the ride-on mower off. Didn't realise that the engine had been left on to disguise the sound of some rustling up in the tree that the mower had been handbraked beside, right? And he looks up and sees Trevor and the girl from the chemist embraced, right? And he says to the audience, that's what I call a branch meeting. Right? So it was tales like that all throughout the evening. And the proceeds went to Trevor, which I reckon he put back over the bar.
Yeah,
right.
Most likely.
It's probably a fair few grand.
Yeah.
And defeated the purpose of the whole
Back to
process.
the community. Back to the community.
Yeah, back to the community.
Reinvesting that, trickle down economics.
Well, he would win like a brand new Mazda RX-7, which back then might as well have been a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And he'd win that from Channel 7 for the Mark of the Year. And then he'd sell it to pay for the footy trip away for him and his teammates because the club had no money to afford it.
Yeah.
And the trip away would be like to Bendigo or something.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
But anyway, he was a great guy.
Well done. Kudos to you, Trevor. I know you can't. You're hearing us from a better place.
Yeah. Well, he's got the best and fairest at St Kilda named after him still. So
100%.
Yeah.
Who's going to win it this year, you reckon?
What, the best and fairest?
Yeah.
Well, I would hope Callum Wilkie, but, defenders,
Yeah.
I suppose even best and fairest have now become a midfielder's medal like the Brownlow. If there's any justice, I'd say Callum Wilkie, him and Josh Battle seem to be a two-man backline.
Yeah.
They're talking about getting rid of Josh Battle, which is going to leave Wilkie one out. And if he was to get injured, we're fucked.
I've been telling Jez. I've been telling BJ.
Can I swear on this? I just
Of course.
Yeah.
Too late. It's happened. It's happened.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We're cancelled. No, we're just kidding.
Don't fucking swear.
Yeah, exactly. No, honestly, I was telling Jez, who's a resident North Melbourne fan here, and I'm just like, mate, if you guys can get Josh Battle across to North Melbourne,
you'll have
then
him.
that would be an absolute
you need a big defender.
big win for them. It would be a big loss to you.
Yeah.
And so the question then becomes, how could they possibly accept it? And in my mind, the only way that you could possibly see a successful trade for both of you might be if it was someone of LDU's level.
Well, LDU's, I think LDU's way better and way younger than Battle, but still we'd take that swap, I suppose. But we still only have one defender when you need six.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I heard during the week as well that just a couple of murmurs about Rowan Marshall that he might
I don't understand that as either. We've only got one ruckman and we're going to get rid of him?
Wait, who's looking into who's looking Marshall?
Rowan Marshall, I've heard, is a bit unsettled according to Tom Morris.
Tom Morris reckons everyone's unsettled.
He's one of the better reporters.
He might say I'm unsettled at this point in time. I'm not.
Are you?
But no.
Are you requesting a trade out of here?
Let me ask you, I want to go back a step here. Who were your equivalents of Trevor Barker via your childhood at Essendon or your childhood as a Hawthorn fan?
My hero was Lloydie.
Of course, Matthew Lloyd. Yeah, it makes sense.
It's hard not to go past Matthew Lloyd. Every time you want to go for a shot on goal, grass goes up.
Yeah.
The grass goes up every time.
Even with the roof closed and no possible wind.
Even when you're inside the room and you're about to throw the ball into a piece of rubbish into the bin. Is there any wind? No. Yep. And then we go for it.
Nice.
And then we yell, Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe.
Yeah, Sam Mitchell for me. He was a childhood hero growing up.
He's a flog, though.
Yeah.
He's a flog.
He speaks highly of you. Might be a flog, but he's turned a team of bloody absolute rookies around. I was saying just earlier that the AFL.com has written a story and posted it today that says because of the inequities with the round this year with the 0 round and some teams having 2 buys before other teams have no buys and some teams playing the shit teams twice where other teams don't play them once.
Yeah.
Right? I think, who is it? Your team, Bombers. I think you play West Coast.
West Coast twice already.
Yeah. West Coast twice already. It's not even the halfway mark of the season. So there's a guaranteed 8 points.
Get around us.
And then, for another example, you don't play Carlton until round 24.
Yeah.
That's the only time you play them.
That's
this year,
right.
round 24.
Yeah, so we wouldn't want to win a game to get in the finals. Luckily we've already erased that issue. but Hawthorn, right, so let's say there's 12 games approximately being played at this stage of the season. For the second...
14, I think.
Okay, for the second 7 games of the season so far, Hawthorn would be second.
Yeah, I know.
Second on the ladder from the second half of the season. And so they're saying that the top 8 at the moment, usually the ladder is an obvious indicator of where teams are at. You can't argue that. Apparently this year you almost can, and it's all going to even out over the next few rounds.
Of course.
Where because Swans apparently have had 33 more rest days than any other team.
Yeah,
that's a lot of days rest. 100%. So obviously that's why they're running harder for longer in most of their games.
With less injuries as well.
Less injuries as a result because they keep on getting breaks to rest.
Yep.
So apparently it might all even out toward the end of the year. And who knows? I don't know whether Hawthorn can still become actually second.
No.
Can you possibly make the 8? You left your run too late. But who knows? It's possible.
It's possible.
Considering that, you see some of the sides in the top 8 and you see the way they're performing at GWS,
well, they've
Geelong.
Yeah,
you
those
think,
3 teams
why can't we have a crack at it?
I reckon you can.
You got to. I mean, it is still a big ask. I think 13 wins guarantees you finals. Probably the way some of these pretenders are going.
Yeah.
And you currently have.
We need to win 6 of our last 9. We play.
That's totally possible. You've probably won 6 of your last 9 now.
If we continue the way we're playing, I think it's very much possible. We've got North, Richmond, West Coast, Adelaide still to play.
You win all those.
If you want to make finals, you win all 4 of them.
Yeah. You win all 4.
And then you just got to sneak a win. I think we've got Freo and Tassie, which I think
you win that.
I think that's possible. And then we got to win one of Giants away, Collingwood, Geelong away, and Carlton.
I love how much you've definitely thought this through, and there's not a fact that you don't know.
No,
and that's what a proper footy fan should be like.
I've had the entire bye round to think about, all right, how on earth can we make finals? Because it's exciting to me. I've seen a lot of success, but first time since 2019 where I haven't even thought about finals. So it's exciting to think about.
First time since 2019.
In the first 4 rounds of this season, Hawthorn were being spoken of as a basket case. They might go bust. They might be disbanded.
Yeah.
The whole cropping too many good players too quickly was a massive disaster.
Like milk.
Why did they? Yeah. And so you've turned that around. That's all history now.
Nah, they would have won. They would have won. You guys should have beaten us in round 1. I thought on the expected score, you would have won.
To be honest, I thought we did play better than you. But we just missed a lot of opportunities. But Essendon showed their class in that first game where we missed a lot of opportunities. I'm not sure if we were better than you, but I thought it was a fairly even game. But the difference between your mob and my mob at the minute is Essendon were just so clinical and they take their chances when they need to. They respond quickly. In that game, we took 5 minutes to kick a goal, but then you would just kick it back instantly. So
the last 2 weeks, though, for us were the complete opposite to that. We were just blowing opportunities left, right, and centre. That's why we ended up losing to Gold Coast with bad kicking as well as to Carlton. Again, expected score had us beating both of those teams.
Really?
Expected score.
It
is an actual stat.
Oh, right, I didn't know that. Is Jake Stringer still, I know it's a cliche, but is this a...
It's a contract year.
It's a contract year.
It's a contract year.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you would try harder in any job.
Correct.
If you know your contract's coming up.
Yep.
In the hope you get another one, but once you're assured that you will get another one, we want to try and ask for as much money as you can, and therefore, in his case, the more goals you kick,
contract year
the more
Stringer
you can ask.
Contract year Stringer hits different. The difference.
Just sign him on 1 year deals every year.
Well, that's what I would love to do. That,
but some team will offer 2.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
well, that's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Honestly, wouldn't it just be right with the buys and the inequities associated with it? Can't we just have it? I know some people are talking about it in the media now more. Just have a 1 week buy for everybody in the same week.
I think we all agree with that. But if you'd paid $1 billion to broadcast the games, you wouldn't
broadcast something else. like a State of Origin game,
Yeah.
or an AFLW game,
Yep.
or the VFL games. Like
Yep.
people will watch those,
Yep.
especially in the absence of all other forms of football on that particular
Well, I'll
week.
tell you
I
what,
think they can. I think everyone wants to do that, but the AFL are just so concerned about having a week block of no thought time, screen time, that
I know,
sort of
I know
thing.
what they could do, because there's been about half a dozen attempts at turning my book into a film, right?
Yeah.
Not by me, by interested parties. So I'm suggesting they turn my book into a film, and then that's the weekend that they show it. And all supporters from all teams watch that film
Buy the ticket.
in the absence of a game that their team would
Buy
otherwise
the
play.
ticket. Give me
Yeah.
some money
Yeah. No, on TV.
on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
They're making it a movie.
Yeah, a TV movie. I don't think it's a real movie.
Why not make it a real movie? Go big or go home.
Well, Marvel movies aren't even getting crowds at the moment. I don't think I'm a superhero.
Hey,
Trevor Barker was.
it
Anyway.
depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
It could be a superhero around these parts. But we know one team that has been a superhero for a long time, and you're going to be really happy to
These
talk
transitions, I love it.
about I'm glad.
You're the best at it.
Oh, thanks, man. But this could be finally the time where Geelong they finally been hit
Hooray.
with
See
some
you later.
kryptonite,
Please.
and they're finally gone.
Please.
Is
I hope
it?
so. I hope so.
We got them this week.
Yeah.
Please, AFL, MRO, don't you dare let Dangerfield go off.
That's
we need
probably been
Dangerfield to
announced by
stay
now.
suspended.
That's probably been announced by now. So we'll check that during the break. Or go, Ken.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
So what we're talking about, Geelong cooked. I hope so.
Yeah.
I think they've had it too good for too long.
And they're guaranteed 9-10 wins a year because they've got the fortress
Yeah,
down at Geelong.
you know,
Luckily, that myth seems to be busted,
yes.
at least this season. A lot of teams have beaten them down at their home ground.
Yeah, I think. They're very much. I think their start of the season in itself will probably get them in the finals still.
Yeah.
But I think it's just. I think there's a lot of holes. I think a lot of holes were filled between in this sort of, I'd say, 10-year period, is getting in the superstars of the game and replenishing off that. They got Patrick Dangerfield, of course, who's
Always injured, getting older.
yeah. Jeremy
Hawkins.
Cameron.
Jeremy-
Who was the next guy that they were recruiting that's going to take them to the top?
What's happened to Jeremy Cameron? He went from the biggest star in the competition to barely getting the game, I reckon, at the moment. And then Tom Hawkins, he's just fallen off the cliff, as happens, mega
Yes.
legend that he is.
Of course.
But he really seems to have fallen right
Yeah,
off
he's
it.
missing quite a few weeks.
Yeah. He's like Wile E. Coyote falling down the the Grand Canyon, holding the help sign up just before he hits the turf.
But the crazy thing is, he hasn't realised that gravity that he's off in midair. He was still running. He was still running in that game, and then he finally realised, oh crap, I'm too old for this. And
Well, also
everyone's telling him to retire now.
Well, they're talking about they're already mentioning that he's playing a role. Well, your days are numbered
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
if you're a role player and you've gone from one of the greatest forwards the game's ever seen
Being a
to
role
somebody
player.
that can halve a contest.
Yeah.
And maybe have the occasional ruck contest in the forward 50, which he wasn't winning at all on the weekend. But sometimes you can either decide to go out like a Joel Selwood or a Ling, just coming off a flag, and you go out in a flame of glory, right? But then again, not everyone chooses when they go. I feel like he could have made a choice. To go last year or to go after their last flag. Sometimes
I don't know. I think he was still playing perfectly fine footy last year.
No, not all this year.
No, not this year.
This entire season has been a just complete write-off. And it's not great for his memory, I feel.
Well, my gauge is, if you weren't Tom Hawkins, would you be even getting a game?
Yeah.
And the answer is surely not.
No.
If you're posting his numbers.
Right.
But they deserve the extra, I suppose like David Warner in the past few competitions that he's played.
Yeah.
If your legacy has been so strong leading up to it, you deserve more chances than anybody else.
Yeah.
But at some point, when's one chance too many?
Correct.
His injury might have done everybody a favour because no one has to tap him on the shoulder and be the bad guy.
Correct.
His foot's done it for him, perhaps.
His foot has done it for him, 100%.
Oh, yeah, I think he will. It sounds like, so there's 9 weeks to go in the year. He's there for 6 to 8. You would assume that he'll be back for round 24.
They might have a big farewell.
And that's a farewell
massive
game.
farewell.
Is their last game at
Right. At Cardinia Park against the Eagles.
This is all scripted.
So
it's all
it's
scripted,
perfect.
I
mate.
can wheel him out like Hannibal Lecter.
Making the tactical sub.
Yeah.
His foot's probably
Brilliant.
buggered.
Yep.
Bring it on for 1 quarter.
Yep.
The pick it full forward.
Yep.
Just kick it long and don't let Hawkins move. Just let him stand there
Like,
and take the marks.
give him Oscar Pistorius on one side.
Yep, exactly.
100%. So if we could, so finally, we're thinking that the Cats are done. They do have some youngsters still going through that. Some pretty good players, but all these question marks and these murmurs, you're right, Jezza Cameron, I think he's been all right the last couple of weeks. A lot more responsibility going to be on his shoulders now moving forward without the Tomahawk, which I think might make them better because he's been almost a non-factor all season. So it could make them better. Depending on Dangerfield, the tribunal is still deliberating. They've been deliberating for the last 15 minutes.
They're trying to find the good bloke excuse that Charlie Cameron got.
Yes.
And maybe Dangerfield deserves it, but they're obviously trying to find an excuse to avoid him being
Yeah,
suspended.
he's the CEO of the Players Association. You have to be a good bloke to be in that.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't
There's
think
no way he's getting suspended now. You're right.
I don't think Geelong are. I don't think they're cooked, but I think they're in desperate need of a retool of just finding out on some of these other younger players and just going, yep, we'll chuck you there for a couple of years, see how you go, figure some stuff out. I don't think it would be a long retool rebuild, but I just think you just see some of the players in their team and it's like still running out with Mitch Duncan, Zach Dewey, Gary Rowan. It's where's the
Stanley.
10-year younger versions of them?
Yes. All right.
And I feel like it feels like Geelong play the same team every week. I don't think it would hurt for them to just find out on a couple of these blokes. And but yeah, I don't think Geelong are cooked, but I think I feel like they're in desperate need of a retool, younger look at their side.
Someone else who's in desperate need of a retool at this point in time is Ken Hinkley. And I think he's asking for a retooling of a supporter base because they're not happy with him at the moment.
But they're still they're sixth on the ladder.
I know.
He'd be the only coach ever that's like sixth on the ladder
And sacked.
to get the arse.
Can you believe that?
Like
And I think his win percentage is also over 60%.
It's over 60%, and there's 12 teams below him, right? That we've got better reason to be unhappy with their coach. Although they should be allowed to boo him off. All the general media guys looking after him,
Yes, correct.
they're allowed to have opinions. It is 12 years. He hasn't got them into a grand final, let alone won a premiership, and apparently that's the longest anyone's coached without doing so, getting either into a grand final, which Ross Lyon did twice.
Correct.
Or 3 times. Hinkley's not even got him into a GF, let alone won one. So they've got good reason to say, piss off.
Yeah.
Or boo vehemently when they're getting done by, 85 points or
You know,
something?
I hate it when people like to get on their high horse and tell fans, you are not allowed to boo.
Yeah.
Stuff you. Who do you think you are to be the moral arbiter
Yeah.
of who can go and boo and just say what they want to say? It's a free country. You can do what you want. You can, if you want to go further and say that, booing your own is the problem. But then again, that comes down to each individual person. They're free to do what they want. And
Within reason. The Adam
course.
Goods thing was a whole separate situation.
Yes,
But if you're just
correct.
booing a guy because he's not doing his job, in your opinion,
Exactly.
and there's no ism involved, be it
Correct.
racism or homophobia or sexism or whatever else.
No,
Yeah,
has no ism
if you're
in
just
there.
saying-
filthy at the
Homophobia
team.
has no ism in there.
No, well,
I just
no,
realised that now.
No, well, I think Alistair Clarkson laid some homophobic slander
He called
towards
someone
some
a
Saints
cocksucker.
players.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. What I'm saying is within reason you can boo your blokes, and there's no wrong reason to boo. There's
An
to
80
boo Ken Hinkley
plus-
apart from the fact that he's been too shit too long or not good enough for long enough.
Exactly.
I
And
think-
it's a hot seat.
yeah,
It's a hot seat.
I feel like the AFL are just how slow are the AFL at getting rid of coaches compared to any other sport
Well,
in the
not
world.
only
Any other sport in the
compared
world.
to Premier League, you can get 3 games.
You think of football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, how quick they are on the button to
Yep.
move them on. Now, I think most of it's a bit too rash, a bit quick.
Yep.
Where you compare it to maybe American sport, and that's probably you want it somewhere like NBA, NFL sort of system. Like the only time I can think about a coach being sacked, probably in recent time, where I go, gee, really? It was probably Ben Rutten from Essendon,
Right.
Because it was
Yeah, writing was on the wall.
no, it was a finals year, and usually what happens in the AFL, all right, you've had a down year, you made finals the previous year, you can bounce back up. It's that sort of theory. And then look, they grabbed Brad Scott, and look how much better you guys are going now. I just think clubs like probably Port Adelaide were 5 years too slow with Ken Hinkley, to be brutally honest. You're saying like Matthew Nicks, we're not getting rid of him. What have you done? What have you done for 5 years?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Is it 5 years now with Matthew?
yeah,
Yeah.
Matthew Nicks,
Is
and
it?
next year will be
Yeah.
6. And
Wow.
Can you believe that?
No. Yeah.
And he really doesn't get much criticism
No, he doesn't.
at all.
He's about to.
I reckon his criticism is, especially in SA media, is sort of overshadowed by Ken Hinkley.
Yeah, exactly. What also annoys me with the coaches is it seems they've got like a job for life. It seems like the AFL feels guilty if any coach gets the sack.
Yeah.
They can't give him another job within the system quick enough.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sometimes, like Buckley, shit-ass coach, right?
Yeah.
My opinion is a shit-ass coach.
I agree.
And now the whole AFL media is trying to make someone else
He's gotta
take him
go
on
to
as a
Port.
coach. What? Is there a certain
What a
number of
Tassie.
years? Is there a certain number of years that passes where they eradicate your previous history?
Oh, yeah, I
Right?
forgot.
They
I forgot he was a coach.
Yeah, right. Or a shit coach
Yeah.
with a bad record who couldn't get the best out of his players.
You're literally
Suddenly-
getting worse every year.
Suddenly they're going, oh no, Nathan Buckley, he needs to be the Tassie coach.
Yeah.
He needs to be the Adelaide coach. What's the campaign for their mates to get jobs again when they blatantly failed last time they tried it?
Big
Well,
boys
I-
club. Big boys club.
Yeah.
And I remember as well, like early in the season, I mean, when isn't he under pressure, Luke Beveridge?
Yeah.
I remember if the Dogs were going to sack him, Freo were right into him.
Yeah.
And you just think of the whole AFL media going, how crap of a coach this bloke is.
It's musical
And it's
chairs.
like, oh, no, we
It
need to
is.
get Freo. Oh, we need to jump on that.
Yeah.
Luke Beveridge.
And what
Yeah.
did Freo do? They sign on Longmuir. for
Well, at the minute's
1
going.
year.
Yeah.
1 year
Yeah.
contract extension
Yeah.
just to placate him. So that it's like,
Yeah.
oh, don't worry about it. Just focus on the job. We know you're on the hot seat.
Yeah.
We know there's
Yeah.
talk about Bevo. We'll give you this 1 year. But then again, even if they sell you the hope and dream of we're going to back you, you're our guy. You're their guy until you're not.
Yep.
And we
Yep.
saw that with Rats as well.
Yep.
Before he was unceremoniously kicked out.
What also amazes me, it might be like a 6-week process where the momentum between the fans or the media push for a coach to be sacked.
Yeah.
But no matter how horrible it might be, within about 24 hours, everyone's moved on and forgotten about it and never gets spoken of again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not that harsh. It's not like you're
No.
being embarrassed or shamed forever. It's quite a quick process.
It
New
is.
coach comes in, old coach is gone. Seems to me that the public embarrassment ends very swiftly.
And
you can
everyone
get
starts
back
to
to your
feel sorry
life.
for him.
And if they pay you out as well every time,
Yeah.
which is a lot of money,
Yeah.
you're almost guaranteed to get another big job in the media. What was it, the Scott brother that they crowbarred him into some job in the AFL?
Yeah, Brad. Yeah.
And then start pushing him hard to be a coach again. He's at Essendon. It's almost like if you tried to not be a part of the AFL, they wouldn't let you be.
Yeah.
Once you
Exactly.
they
Once
used
you're
to-
through that door,
Yep.
opportunities are endless. You could go in the media, you can go
Yep.
to the AFL Commission.
They used to say it about the Australian cricket team is it's harder to get out than to get in.
Yeah.
AFL House. Give us a call. But someone who isn't under any more pressure, Fagan. Fagan was under a lot of pressure, I feel. Him and the Brisbane Lions,
Yeah.
Bris Vegas,
Yep.
all the nonsense off the field. They've started really poorly, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, they're back. The
Well, yeah,
Lions are
they
back.
are back.
And
Yeah,
they
they
are
are
back. There you go. We're just
They're-
reporting the football. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
All it took is a buy round. And look what happens.
Give him a little rest.
Give him a little rest. Yeah, Sydney
Yeah,
style.
give him a little rest.
Put Zorko on the back line.
Oh, changes everything, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, second time lucky with the buy. Brisbane after the first buy.
They
Bit
keep on
dodgy.
talking. Well,
Second buy, there you go.
they're talking
Back
about
into form.
Max Gawn, rightfully so.
Yes.
Brodie Grundy, rightfully so.
Yes.
The emergence of
Tom DeConning.
TDK,
Yep.
right? But the Big O's got to be a contender for the best ruckman in the competition by a mile.
Big O.
He is blitzing and pretty much always has.
He is
Underrated.
so underrated.
Might be the case of not being in Victoria.
100%.
No, very much so.
Absolutely.
If he played for
If he played for Collingwood or Carlton,
he wouldn't.
He'd
They
put a
wouldn't
brown
shut
li-
up about him.
that's right.
If he played for Collingwood, there'd be a freaking statue outside of AIA Stadium, whatever they call it, Emirates. Used to be Emirates. I don't know, the Collingwood black and white place.
Yeah.
They would have had a stadium. They would have had a statue for him
Yeah.
by now.
Are we now sold on Brisbane? And I guess my question for you boys is, can they still make top four?
Yes.
Not top 8, top 4.
Yes.
They can. Because I don't think we're staying in there. There's already one team that's dropping out of the top 4.
No, and I don't see anyone else around them. I think Brisbane is. I think you're the best chance outside of Brisbane to make the top 4.
What? Oh, to make it. But where are
You're
you?
in the top 4.
No, I meant like
At the end of the season,
like,
to maintain
in
our
my
spot.
opinion, come season end, I reckon you're the second best chance.
Okay.
Yeah, and then but I'd still go Brisbane because.
Sure.
Well,
I'll
you don't
just
agree?
I'll take that.
You're saying Essendon are a better. So after Sydney, Essendon are a better chance.
No.
So
sorry,
Essendon,
sorry,
Carlton,
I should have
Collingwood.
specified. Besides Sydney, Carlton, Collingwood, that fourth
Right.
slot, I'm going Brisbane. Then
Brisbane.
I think the next best chance is
Right.
Essendon
All right.
to finish fourth.
So your projection is that we
So
finish
probably
fifth.
Essendon fifth.
I'd take that.
If
we
2 metre
finish
Peter
fifth.
starts getting the kick,
The thing is, we need our final to be played at Marvel.
Yeah.
He's just a Marvel merchant. He
Yeah.
just he
Who
goes
is?
MC 2 meter Peter.
All right.
We just go MCG and things just get too big for him. I don't know. Like it's
the,
weird.
the lights are too
too
bright.
big for a guy who's 6'9".
That's part of the joke. Yeah.
He won a best and fairest only
2 years ago. Yeah. Pretty remarkable, but.
Who knew?
Mate, I swear, Peter Wright was wrong with that suspension. He just hasn't
No,
been.
not back
He
to this
hasn't
again.
been right ever
Yeah,
since.
fair enough.
He's not crashing packs like he was. He's not taking any contested marks. I just feel like I don't know that he's this long layoff from him being suspended. He's just not hitting contests as hard anymore.
Second guessing himself, too cautious.
Yeah, 100%. Like if you're not kicking the ball out in front of him on a lead where there is no one there for him to collide into, he's not marking it. I don't know like, if that's the thing or not.
Do you wonder if it's because it's because of how well Essendon are going as a collective in the forward line, where there's multiple different options to kick to in the forward line, where it's not purely just him like it was the first couple of years at Essendon. It's now there's multitude of different options. You got Guelphy in really good form. You got Stringer, Gresham.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about those guys.
Who are your other forwards?
But the thing is,
Langford.
Yeah, Langers, of course. But the thing is, when you see him go for the ball, he'll get both hands on the football. Like he will have the run, but he's just not clunking it. He's just not playing with that self-confidence and belief that saw him.
Do you know there is one player in the AFL who does it as best as anyone at that sort of lead mark, strong mark on the lead? He needs to watch some footage of Jake Waterman.
Yeah.
He is just unreal at that sprint, lead out, boom.
He's got Nate Caddy. He's got Nate Caddy now next to him.
He rarely drops the ball.
What they should all do, I'm a generation above you two, at least one generation above. And what all of us skinny blokes used to have to do is buy a 3-pack of getting stronger machines, right? And one of them was called a bull worker. And it was a black spring on this steel pole with handles on the end, and you'd like bend it into like a upside down U shape.
Right.
Right, to try and build muscle or strength. And it used to come with these little hand grip things that you would squeeze. And all of us blokes trying to get better at footy, you walk around, or you can do the same with a squash ball and squeeze these hand grips all the time to strengthen your hands.
Like,
the amount of players that get the ball to their hands forwards,
my grandpa
and then
gave me
their
one of them.
fingers go floppy.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I lost it, but it was one of those grip tighteners. Yeah. My grandpa gave me that, and I loved it. I don't know where on earth I put it, but
they should
it's a bit of a
literally
shame.
They should literally strengthen the hands and the grips and the fingers of forwards. I bet you they're not doing it at all.
No.
Look, Tomato, if this is what's required, I'll go above and beyond. I'll even cut you up some nice oranges in the break if it is to get those hands extra sticky. I don't know what's going on. North Melbourne, then they find themselves in a really interesting situation where they're playing great football, but a bit like 2 meter Peter, they're doing the hard work, but they're just not finishing it. You know what I mean? Like 2 meter Peter can't mark, North Melbourne can't win. They're doing really close. They're getting to the end, and they're just being deprived. And I think this could be the absolute perfect concoction here for North Melbourne, that they're playing great football to try and lure other free agents. Look, we're not the basket case that people think we are. Plus, we get the high pick.
And or keep their handful of players that are already great.
Yes.
Like Luke Davies-Uniacke.
Yes.
So they don't scarper for money and go elsewhere. Only 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think LDU was probably going to go.
To Collingwood.
Well, I was hoping to the Saints, but either way, now it looks like, there could be something here. I mean, they've been given so many outrageous concessions.
Yes.
Probably because Alex Clarkson's got influence and power and stuff. And
he gets a good word in.
He must do.
And a great swear word in as well.
Yeah, that's right.
He's told off a lot.
But if they all come together in 2 or 3 years and progress at the same time, they'll probably, they could win a flag in 3 years. If Richmond can come from 16th to win a premiership, then those what have they got? 10 top 5 picks?
Yeah, it's something ridiculous. And
Larkey's possibly
Oh, he's a gun.
The best full forward in the comp, especially considering he's in a wooden spoon team.
Correct. If he was playing for Carlton,
He'd be the greatest forward the game's ever known.
And
How
'cause
he's concocting 60 goals a year plus.
because he's the most accurate shot on goal in the history of the game.
Yeah.
He actually
Is he?
He actually is
In the history of the game?
In the history of the game, Nickel, I don't know if it's changed. All I know is earlier this year, when I looked at the AFL table, he had the best shot
Conversion
conversion
Right.
rate in the history of the game, over 80%.
Wow.
Now, I
That's
don't know
crazy.
if that's still been the same for the last month or so, because I haven't looked at the updated stats, but as of last I've checked during this season, he was number one.
Right. Well,
We love Lucky.
I like that his nickname is Suva, as in Suvalaki.
Suvalaki.
I love his impersonations as well. There.
Oh, yeah. Has he done more? I've seen him do the Damien Barrett. Has he
yeah.
got others?
Yeah, he's done the Damien Barrett one. He did
He did it a couple of times.
the Nadal one.
Done the Rafa Nadal
Oh, yeah,
one.
He's done a couple, but shout out
On
to
Sammy Draper's podcast, I think he was.
I don't know Bill.
Yeah.
That impersonation's terrible. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't
I
worry,
don't know, I
Nick
can't believe
Lucky,
you
I'm not
actually
taking
tried
your
it.
job.
I can't believe you actually tried that, mate.
Yeah.
Stick
I thought it was
to
pretty good.
FanCast, mate. You'll be fine.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere.
Good boy. Someone who's not going anywhere, Essendon. We're not going anywhere. We are literally playing every game for the rest of the season from here on out in Melbourne, except for the very last round where I have to go and play
I
Brisbane
think
together.
St Kilda's the exact same.
St
It's
Kilda,
like
every game,
You-
apart from one, I think we got to Adelaide Oval. You're playing all at Marvel, essentially.
Right.
all at Marvel. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, we're already out of the picture, so that's no good to anybody.
But the good thing for you, though, is that your team isn't being, I suppose, and your fans aren't being ridiculed on social media for, Essendon pretenders.
Oh, yeah.
It's all set up. What a joke. It's all set up so that Essendon can make it to a final and win the finals and be unworthy top four, perhaps. It's just like, guys, we're the Bombers. Us bungling things is normal for us in the last 20 odd years.
It's
and everyone's already pulling up the lemons and complaining about us not traveling.
It's hard. I've been indoctrinated throughout my childhood and young adult years that Essendon and Carlton and Hawthorn were just mega successful, had won the most premierships. And so even though all of those teams have now been bad for 20 years, I'm 54 and I saw 30 years before that where all teams were discussing dominant. And I've still yet to undo that in my DNA.
We haven't
Those
won a
teams to me-
final since 2004.
I know.
That still hasn't undone it.
Yep. No, it still hasn't undone it. Still hasn't undone it.
Jeez.
I went to Windy Hill too many times and saw St Kilda be 20 goals down by half time and it not get better from there. Same with Carlton at Princess Park. Same at Hawthorn anywhere. So many times that I'm scarred for life. And all of them have been shit for quite some time now.
We have been very shit for quite some time now.
Hawthorn a little bit less.
Yeah, no.
No, you guys have been very good until recently. So I'm saying don't complain to me about you guys not having 5 years of no good football.
I never said I was complaining.
Good.
I was
I'm making sure.
I was
Just making
talking in
sure.
a positive way about it.
Very good. Just making sure. But honestly, all these people, just stick to backing for your own team. There's no need to go out and try and say that we're pretenders. Bombers fans know full well how precarious things are still going to be for the rest of the season.
I'll tell you what shits me. Let me ask you your opinion on this.
Yes.
So your team gets beaten by another team.
Yes.
And you have mates who give you shit, go, fucking St Kilda are just terrible against Geelong, but they barrack for a team that's not Geelong.
Yeah.
I don't reckon you're allowed to hang shit
No.
on friends whose team has just lost a game unless it's against your team.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got
I
a few
agree.
mates. I've got a few mates like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You go, what do you got to do with this argument?
And it's like,
There's no seat at the table in this discussion for you. If your team beat our team, go hell for leather against me.
yeah.
But if another team that you have no connection to beat my team, don't ring me up or text me,
Yeah.
give me shit when I don't want to hear it. You got no connection to the discussion.
That's my boss. My boss will just message me.
Yeah.
He messaged me on Gather Round
Right.
when we played Port Adelaide and we got absolutely destroyed.
I was
Yeah.
there.
He's a Carlton man.
Right.
He just messages me. Gather Round has been a resounding success.
Right.
He hates
Well,
it.
Friday night.
I suppose if he's your boss, he's got a better chance of.
you got to hold your tongue a bit
Yeah.
there.
I just left him on scene on red.
Oh, dangerous.
I did not respond. I
No.
was not in any mood to go having some argy-bargy about us getting destroyed by Port Adelaide.
No, fair enough.
So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. If you don't have a dog in the race and you're just trying to just simply kick a horse when it's down or sink some boots in there just to be a dick, Get stuffed. That's all I have to say for you. Fuck shit. All right.
Do what you like.
Boo him if you want.
Do it.
Don't think. Do. Don't do it seriously. He'll eat 35-year-old chewing gum. All right, guys, we're going to have a little bit of a break. We'll see you on the flip side. And we're back for the tips. We start off Friday night football. The Brisbane Lions are hosting the Melbourne Demons at the Gabba. And I'm just going to kick things start off. I'm going to go with Brisbane in great form. They're at home. Melbourne all over the place. No Petrarca. Lucky to go over line against North. I'm going to go Brisbane fairly comfortably in this one.
Me too. Melbourne are finished.
Yep, Melbourne have finished. Won't make the 8.
Get your own line.
As I said at the start of the year. Sorry, I had to get that in. Little head wobble. Brisbane by about 28.
Yeah, I reckon it's 5 goal plus for sure.
Yeah.
I'll go 35.
I say 11 goals.
Oh, hey, go hard or go home.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well done. We go then Saturday afternoon, North Melbourne hosting the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. North have been close the last few weeks. They've been denied by umpires against Collingwood. They were self-denied a bit against Melbourne. Is this the week that they get over the top against the Bulldogs, perhaps?
I say North Melbourne are going to win.
Love it.
The only person that can stop that is Bontempelli.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if North Melbourne have anyone. I don't think there's many. So I don't think there's many players that can stop Bont or slow him down.
Jared Berry says hi.
Jared Berry. Yeah, fair point. I'll say the Dogs by like 13, coming off the bye after a big win against the Dockers beforehand. So I think it could be one of those slower games for the Dogs, but I still expect them to win.
Is Darcy back for the Bulldogs this week, or is he still suspended?
I believe so. Yeah.
If Darcy is back, I'm going to go with the Dogs just because of the undersized North Melbourne back line.
Oh, yeah.
And if
potentially,
not,
but if Darcy's not back, we're going to go North again. They let me down last week, but by God, I want them to win. There you go, Jez. That was just for you.
The problem with North winning is that Alistair Clarkson's happy and I hate his guts. So I'm always torn at the moment. You want the underdog to finally have some joy.
still love you, Clarko.
Yeah.
He's a very angry man, Clark. He's always been an angry man.
Yeah.
He knocked someone out really hardcore in an exhibition match in London, didn't he?
Ian Atkins.
Yeah.
Sniped him from behind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's a very angry man, Alistair Clarkson. You can still love him. It's okay. You can love him. You can love Sam Mitchell.
Yeah.
Bunch of flogs. You can love him. And there we go. SCG, again, same time at 1:45 on Saturday. The Swans are hosting the Fremantle Dockers. It's the Swans by how much, really?
Yep. Another 10 goals. Swans.
It's just unbeatable at this point, especially at home.
I don't know. Sydney are a bloody good side, but we're underselling for here. Like, they're a decent side. I'm going to, anyway. Yes, I will go Sydney.
By
26.
Aren't you underselling the Fremantle a little bit? That's more than
What
four
are you going
goals.
to say? Less of a margin?
No, I'm going to say more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're underselling them.
Yeah, no, I'm going to, the Swans just can't be touched at this point. The Swans are the Swans, really. We then move to 4:35 p.m. The Gold Coast Suns are hosting Collingwood up on the Gold Coast Suns at the People First Stadium. Now, they were saying earlier in the season that then when they played against us, it was their biggest game of the year. This is bigger. Yeah. I think this one, if they can knock Collingwood off at home, because they haven't really beaten anyone of significance. You could say, Essendon high up on the ladder, but I don't consider us to be a genuine threat. But this is a great opportunity for the Suns to try and beat Collingwood. I don't think they will, but I think Collingwood are getting some cavalry back. I think they're getting DeGoey back, Pendle's back. So I think that just makes Collingwood a bit too strong for me.
Yeah, I think Gold Coast are yet to play Sydney, Carlton, Collingwood, and I think they're the clear three sides when it comes to the premiership race. And as good as Gold Coast are from at home, I just can't. It's hard to say no to Collingwood at the minute, so I'm going to go Collingwood by We'll throw it back to 2022. They'll win by less than a goal. We'll go 4 points.
Oh,
Collingwood by 10 goals. I'm 10-goal Ted today.
I love it.
I hope it doesn't go what you're tipping, because otherwise it'll be a crap round to watch.
That's true. I don't want to see Collingwood up and about at the Pies. We then go 7:30 Saturday night. Adelaide are hosting the Giants at Adelaide Oval. This is going to be a really interesting one because the Giants have been underperforming the last few weeks. They've got Adelaide, who's been underperforming as well. Is the home ground going to be a factor? I think it will be, but is it going to be enough for them to overcome the Giants? I'm going to say no. I'm going to back the Giants.
I'm saying a draw, 8 goals each.
Wow.
Love
it. Can't the draw.
Yeah.
Crows could do it, but I still think GWS at their lowest is better than Adelaide at their highest. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's not close at all then.
yeah, no. So Giants by
My shit is your
13.
gold.
What?
My shit is your gold.
That's the weirdest pickup line I've ever heard.
They're not a good Adelaide aren't a good side.
Look, if you pick up what someone else is dropping, you just go with it, I guess. We then go Saturday night football. The Cats hosting my boys, the Bombers.
Can
at
they
the
both lose?
MCG.
Can they both lose?
No.
Please.
Only both teams can't win. It's possible for both teams to not win. We've experienced one of those at Anzac Day. I don't think we're going to do that again. I'm going to say we're going to win.
Bombers.
I'm going to tip a draw and I'm going to hope for a draw. I don't want either team to celebrate. Sorry, Joe, but
It's fine.
I can't cop either of yous. So, yeah, we're hoping for a draw here. Can I say one thing about it's the annual country game, isn't it?
It is.
Are they still going with that, are they?
Yeah.
Well,
Where's Gil McLaughlin holding a plastic sheep when you need it?
Why would a country game be on a Saturday night at 7:30 and it's for the country? What time's people from regional Victoria going to be home?
They've got to get up at 4 a.m. to milk the cows.
Yeah, exactly. That is just terrible fixturing. Make a 1:45 Saturday. I think that makes sense.
Look, the game is for everyone. It's not just for people out in the country. Like,
yeah, but the game's celebrated around the it's a country game. It's celebrated as a country game.
Yeah.
Then put it at a time that's reasonable for people out in regional Victoria to go to the game.
Why didn't they call it a bush bash, by the way? Which is
like that.
it's a DVD I saw on a footy trip away, by the way, but that's a whole separate form of entertainment.
Yeah, no, I just take it. It's a primetime slot.
You take
people.
You take it. It should be a good contest, but it's just I just don't like that scheduling if you're going to call it a country game.
Fair enough. Sunday afternoon, the St Kilda Saints at Marvel Stadium are hosting the Penguin Association, Port Adelaide. I like calling them the Penguin Association, PA.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
I like
because
that.
there was, I can't take credit for that. There was, I think the Sydney Swans were asking a bunch of tourists who for the first time in the country, and they will show them the logos, and it was like, what team do you think this is?
Like it.
And I think it was, I'm not going to say what country, but I wouldn't be called a racist. But they just saw the PA and they're thinking, oh, Penguin Association. And so now forever in my mind, the Penguin Association. So who wins? Your boys? Or
I say St Kilda. Somehow or other, we've won the midfield battle, even though our midfield is ordinary over the last 3 games.
Yep.
And their midfield full of geniuses, but haven't been getting a touch as much as they should be.
Correct.
So I say, and they're in turmoil right now. If they don't sack Ken Hinkley, hopefully we can thrash them like they were thrashed last week.
Yep.
And put a nail in his coffin. I don't want him to be sacked this week because we always come up against clubs that have got a brand new coach first up and they rebound.
They always win with the new coach.
I say the Saints genuinely, even if I wasn't barracking for them.
Wow.
Yep.
Interesting. I don't know if Port Adelaide have a good record at Marvel Stadium.
I don't know either.
I think they do have a good record at Marvel Stadium.
That stops now.
Yeah, you would hope so. And it can only go one of 2 ways. Either a team that's under the pump galvanizes, bounces back the next week, or they continue to show why they're under the pump. It only goes one of 2 ways.
See, the thing is with Port, their issue has never been beating the sides lower than them. So it's Port's biggest issue has always been they can't beat the teams around them. So, I mean, keep going the way they're going, they'll be around the Saints
So
area.
flat track bullies,
But,
essentially.
Yes, and I think they've proven that for a very long time.
So will they be flat track bullies against the 14th place? Thank you.
No, they won't. They'll win. So,
So there will
in
be
my,
flat
in
track
my
bullies
opinion.
then.
What?
There will be flat track bullies.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, Willie Rioli was late out last week. I hope he is this week because he always kills us.
He's a flog as
Yeah.
well. He's a thug.
He's
Wow.
he's a dangerous player. So I'm going to go Port by 22.
I'm going to go back to Port in as well.
I hope for
bounce
your
back.
sake they do win though, the Saints.
Thank
yes,
you.
just for
Yeah.
you. Just for you.
Very
Yeah.
kind.
And for Dave. 3:20 p.m. The Richmond Tigers are hosting Carlton. Could this be 90 odd, possibly?
1,000? No, I think Richmond
90
supporters are
points.
lost
Nah,
interest.
Richmond
Oh, I thought you meant 1,000 people.
Richmond have had their grand final now with Dusty's 300.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I could see 10 goals easy between
Easy.
between Mackay and Curnow.
Easy.
I think Carlton will look to boost their percentage here. They only beat them by 5 points. I think they'll look to make it an easier job.
Yep.
This time around, I'll say Carlton by 71, and I think it'll be very weird to see this matchup during the day, as we're so used to seeing this on a Thursday night at round one.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be weird to see that matchup during the day.
So you can see the slaughter in broad daylight.
Yeah.
We then end. The West Coast Eagles are hosting the Hawks at Optus
Oh.
Stadium. They fly back. They lost to the Bombers at Marvel. They played really well last week. I'll give them credit
Yeah, they
for
did.
that against us.
They were very solid.
They're going to have Harley Reid back. Kelly could be back.
Well, in which case, I reluctantly say I'm jumping in here. West Coast. I want Hawthorn to win.
Yep.
If those two are back, no.
I think with those two back, I'm leaning towards the Eagles as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going
At
West Coast.
home, their crowd.
I don't know how we'll. I don't. It's hard to say. Like, I hope the bye hasn't killed our momentum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The bye
it's
has done
that-
that to a few teams.
Yeah, so that's sort of my worry, and I feel like West Coast, I feel like they're due for a win as well. I don't think they're as bad as advertised. I think they've put in some really solid performances. So if this was at the G or in Tassie, I'd be pretty comfortable to say us.
Yeah.
But over in Perth, I think I'm going to lean the Eagles. I think we'll go 8 points.
Yeah, the Eagles at home, I think like a 6 goal better side. At
Yeah,
least, I reckon.
That's the thing. Like at Optus Stadium, they're a different kettle of fish.
I actually do think they're a 6 goal better side. They just rise to the occasion somehow over there. And
They just have a sporadic once a month game where they're just really dominant.
correct.
Like we saw against Melbourne and the other 2 games that they won. I forgot about.
Exactly. And so that, I think, is us for the week. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Hooray.
We hope you enjoyed. Yeah, nice.
Thank
a
you
round of applause.
for jumping on, Matt.
Matthew, thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having me.
much for coming on. It's been
Thank
an
you.
absolute pleasure
Great.
for you
Enjoyed
to free
it.
up some time to come on. I hope you had some good fun.
Brilliant. Had a great time. And we're at St Kilda Sports Club, which I know is St Kilda Bolo,
Yeah.
in the oldest functioning locker room, 160-year-old in the Southern Hemisphere, I'm told.
Exactly. 100%.
It's a privilege and an honour.
It is so good.
Yep,
You can
lovely
feel-
spot here.
You can feel the history. You can see the history. That cupboard was not broken, pretty sure, last week. So, yeah. It's,
You got to get into the Class A somehow.
Exactly. So thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed watching this or listening to this as much as we enjoyed recording it. If you did, hit us with a like, subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell, not miss out on any of the videos that we're pumping out on a regular basis, because here on the bench, we have a proper footy chat. See you all in the next one.